episode 361. We'll be talking about AEW Dynamite and discussing a little bit of pro wrestling news. Right here, right now, 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Good evening, wrestling fans. Welcome to 360 Wrestling Fanatic. I am your host, Lance Brock. Thank you for tuning in right here on Spreaker. Hope everyone had a great Wednesday today. And now it is Wednesday night, and you know what that means. It is time to talk about an all-new episode of AEW Dynamite. Tonight's episode of Dynamite was live from a city that shares a name with one of my favorite shows, Laredo, Texas. And commentators tonight, Tony Schiavone, Excalibur, and Taz, as usual. We start things off with, in memory of graphic of Jerry Jarrett. And we start things off with a trios, or 8-man tag, I should say, with Jeff Jarrett, who was there at Dynamite tonight to compete. It's Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, and Sanam Singh taking on the acclaimed Daddy Ass Billy Gunn and Orange Cassidy. And Max Caster actually did mention Jerry Jarrett in his rap in the beginning. Luckily, he did not say anything bad about Jerry. He called him a legend. And this was started off pretty good, I thought. And the finish sees the acclaimed hit the Scissor Me Timbers. And Bowens pins Sanjay to score the win for their team. Next up, we have tag team action in a Texas Tornado match. Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli, representing the Blackpool Combat Club, defeated the team of Roosh and Preston Vance. Good match here. Some brawling, of course, weapons, and as usual, Jon Moxley was bleeding in this match. And then after the match, we see Kip Sabian, the Butcher, and the Blade attack Hangman Page in the back, who was watching the match on the monitor. And Mark Briscoe is in action next, taking on Josh Woods. These two obviously know each other from Ring of Honor. And at one point in this match, Woods hits a very impressive corkscrew suplex from the ring apron to the floor. Mark Briscoe does his redneck kung fu in this one. Then gets a chair and does kind of like the vintage Sabu move there, sets it up, and then jumps off it onto the floor. And the finish sees Mark Briscoe hit the froggy bow for the win. And next up, we see the AEW World Champion MJF Maxwell Jacob Friedman cut another great promo, and he brings out somebody that knows Bryan Danielson very well, the fallen angel Christopher Daniels. When CD gets in the ring, he cuts a promo putting Bryan Danielson over, and then MJF gets upset with him, gets in his face a little bit. Danielson slaps him, and then Daniels slaps him, I should say. Sorry about that. And then MJF hits Daniels with a low blow. Next up on Dynamite, Jungle Boy Jack Perry defeats the Machine Brian Cage. And then when Jungle Boy is going back up the ramp, we see another Cage, the returning Christian Cage, who has been out with an injury, and he attacks Jungle Boy on the ramp. So I'm guessing that feud between Jungle Boy and Christian Cage will be continuing. Now it is time for Kip Sabian versus Hangman Adam Page, who earlier attacked Hangman Adam Page in the back with the Butcher and the Blade, but Hangman does make it out to the ring for the match. Hangman gets the win, and then we see the Blackpool Combat Club, Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Wheeler Yuta make their way to the ring, and the Dark Order, Evil Uno, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds make their way to the ring, and Hangman is disappointed to see them there. He tells them to stay out of it, but Evil Uno doesn't listen to him. He has Hangman's back, and he gets in the face of Jon Moxley. But still, Adam Page looking upset at the Dark Order for getting involved, and Jon Moxley tells the Hangman at Revolution Texas Death Match, and we will see that Jon Moxley vs. Hangman Adam Page March 5th at Revolution in a Texas Death Match. Should be good. But first, next week on Dynamite, we will see Jon Moxley and Evil Uno one-on-one. Now it is time for the main event of tonight's Dynamite. Triple threat match. Tony Storm, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Ruby Soho. In this one, don't really know whose side Ruby Soho is on. Lately, Saraya and Tony Storm have been convincing her to join them against the AEW homegrown talent. We have a good main event here tonight. Ruby Soho getting the win. That was Dynamite tonight. I thought it was a very good episode as usual. Had some good matches on here. Had some good promo segments. Thought it was a nice touch having the in memoriam graphic of Jerry Jarrett. So overall, pretty good episode of Dynamite tonight. And speaking of Jerry Jarrett, I'm sure Impact Wrestling tomorrow, it's pre-taped, but like they did with Don West when he passed, they could probably add a graphic, and at least we should anyway, since one of the founders of, at the time, NWA TNA, which would become eventually Impact Wrestling. So they should definitely have a graphic, and I wouldn't be surprised for their next live special, with the next time Impact Wrestling will be live, No Surrender on Impact Plus and Fight TV, if maybe they do something like they did at Hard to Kill for Don West, where they had the roster come out on the stage and have the 10-bell salute. I wouldn't be surprised if they did something like that for Jerry Jarrett. And it's been announced, finally, we've been waiting for it. The new Ring of Honor TV show will debut on Honor Club March 2nd. They'll be having the tapings. I don't remember exactly what the date is, but I know it's around the end of this month. It's going to be at Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida. Recently, for a little while now, AEW has been filming Dark there. And also, I'm sure everybody is familiar with TNA Impact Wrestling running in Universal for many years. I think AEW is filming on a different sound stage than where TNA used to film though, but still Universal Studios. So will definitely be interesting to see what the show is like, what the feel of it is like, because that's one thing people used to kind of complain about TNA always running there in Universal, is that the fans, that a lot of them were just tourists that were there in the theme park, and they saw that pro wrestling was there. So kind of at best it was kind of casual wrestling fans, and I'm not sure, like, really, so far, what I've seen though of Dark, the tapings AEW has done, it kind of seems like they do have fans that are familiar with AEW. So we'll definitely have to be checking that out. I will definitely consider, I haven't decided just yet, subscribing to Honor Club. If I do, I'll probably wait till it gets closer to the date of when the show starts. It's going to be airing on Thursdays, I guess, and then I'm sure you can watch it anytime on demand. So that's all for this episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic, episode 361. Thanks again for tuning in. Hopefully we'll have more episodes coming up soon. The last few days I slacked off a little bit, didn't do episodes of Wrestling Fanatic, but hopefully we'll pick up again, start doing more. But we'll be back tomorrow morning for Good Morning Wrestling fans, the off Thursday edition this week. Also, maybe the rest of the week I might try to do an episode where I talk about and preview the shows coming up this Saturday, WWE Elimination Chamber, also New Japan Pro Wrestling's Battle in the Valley. And even if I don't do like the preview thing like I would like, probably a recap of the shows sometime this weekend, either Saturday night or if not, sometime on Sunday. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that. Hopefully you will. I know I've been saying this for the last few days, but I know I haven't put anything on the new 360 premium subscription on Anchor. Hopefully we'll soon. So if you want, go over there and subscribe. Hopefully start adding episodes and bonus content there soon. Once again, thank you for tuning in tonight. Hope everyone had a great Wednesday. Hope everyone enjoyed AEW Dynamite tonight. Until then, I am Lance and I am a wrestling fanatic.